Hi students, welcome to my channel Easy Learning. So today I will be dealing with the topic, the remaining part of the chapter, the life process, which I have discussed yesterday. I have discussed regarding the first life process, that is nutrition. It is there in my channel. The link will be given in the description box. Okay, so today I will be dealing the remaining part of that particular chapter, that is the remaining three life processes. One, it is the respiration. Second one, it is the transportation, and the third one, it is the excretion. So first we will see about the respiration process. So today I am going to deal with the second life process, that is respiration. So first we will see regarding the definition. This is also a very vast area, but here I will be going to discuss with you only the main important part, that is frequently asked questions for the board exam, so that you will be able to score 90 plus, nearly 100% marks only in that particular topic. So only the important areas I will be discussing. I am not going to tell in detail the whole respiratory process in both plants and animals. Only the important areas I am going to cover. Okay, so first we will see regarding the definition of respiration. You know that without respiration, no organism can be alive, isn't it? So respiration means we are taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. So when we are taking in oxygen, the oxygen is entering into our body and it is going to each and every part of the body, that is the cells which is present inside our body. So it is going to each and every cell of the body, and it helps to burn the food which we have taken inside. So with the help of that oxygen, the food is burned, and then what is produced? After that, the waste product, that is the carbon dioxide and water which is produced, it will be eliminated along with some amount of energy. So that is the main important thing regarding respiration. So I think you have got a clear-cut idea regarding what is the definition of respiration. That is taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. You are taking in oxygen, that oxygen is burning the food, and then the waste product like carbon dioxide and water, it is eliminated outside from our body. Even though the water, it is a useful product, it is utilized by our body for other metabolic activities, but the carbon dioxide is not necessary for our body, so it is getting eliminated from our body. So after the definition, so I'll just write the simple chemical equation of the process respiration. That is food plus oxygen, then you will get carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. Okay, so this is the simple chemical equation. This is the simple chemical equation for the process of respiration. So food is burned in the presence of oxygen, and then you are getting what? Carbon dioxide, water and energy. This is the waste product. This is not at all needed for our body. Water, it is being utilized by our body for our other metabolic activities, and energy is also utilized by our body for all the metabolic activities. Okay, so now we will move on to, there is one very important part in this particular introductory part of the respiration, that is one question, that is regarding for 2-mark question. It is justify the statement. What is the statement means? That is respiration is just the opposite of photosynthesis. Justify the statement. Like that the question will come for the board exam. So respiration is just the opposite of photosynthesis. So how can you justify that particular statement? So we can tell that respiration means what? We are taking in oxygen, isn't it? So oxygen is taken for breaking the food. At the same time, during that particular process, what is released? Carbon dioxide, water and energy is released. But whereas in the case of photosynthesis is the preparation of food. So the food is prepared by using what? Carbon dioxide, water and sunlight energy. And what is released in that particular process? Oxygen is released. So that is why it is told that respiration is just the opposite of photosynthesis. Okay, so photosynthesis is the process of making the food, whereas respiration is the process of breaking the food. Okay, in that particular process, in the making of the food, we are utilizing, that is the plants are utilizing carbon dioxide, water and energy, and they are releasing oxygen. Whereas in the case of respiration, the breaking of the food is done with the help of oxygen, and what is released? Carbon dioxide, water and energy. So that you have to remember, this you have to recall very well, and you have to read very well that regarding this particular part, in the introductory part of the respiration. So it is a very important part which will be frequently asked for the board exam. 2-mark question. It is justify the statement. Okay. So next we will move on to types of respiration. Types of respiration. In that, 2 types of respiration is there. One, it is the aerobic respiration, and the second one, it is anaerobic respiration. So aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. These are the 2 types of respiration. Aerobic respiration, it takes place in the presence of oxygen, whereas anaerobic respiration, it takes place in the absence of oxygen. So anaerobic respiration, it takes place in the absence of oxygen, whereas aerobic respiration, it takes place in the presence of oxygen. So that is a simple definition for both. So the process of respiration which takes place by utilizing oxygen, that is known as aerobic respiration, and the respiration which takes place in the absence of oxygen, it is known as anaerobic respiration. So these are the 2 main simple definitions for both these types of respiration. But here you have to learn regarding the chemical equation based on this. That is also a very important part, frequently asked 3-mark question it is for board exam. Only you should know the chemical equation. They will be giving the reactant side, but the product side you have to fill. Okay, so the reactant side it will be given in the question paper, the product side you have to fill. So I am just going to write that particular chemical equation, and because the reactant side it is both, it is same in all the 3. Here, first one I will show you the chemical equation with aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration with yeast cells and muscle cells of the human beings. Okay, so let me show you the chemical equation. First one, it is the glucose. That is the food, isn't it? So glucose. The glucose, it is broken down in cytoplasm. By that process, the breaking down of glucose in the cytoplasm, it is known as glycolysis. Glycolysis. So it is broken down into one product known as pyruvate, or we will call it as pyruvic acid. Okay. So this pyruvate, this it is common for all the 3. So this pyruvate, it is again broken down. It is again broken down. It takes place in the presence of oxygen, then in the absence of oxygen, These are the 3 equations. I am writing it in one single part. Same way it will come for board exam also. Okay. So the same way it will come for board exam. So the glucose, by the process of glycolysis in cytoplasm, it is broken down into pyruvate, and this pyruvate in the presence of oxygen in mitochondria. In mitochondria, it is giving what? The pyruvate, it is broken down and it is releasing carbon dioxide, water plus 38 ATP molecules. ATP means adenosine triphosphate. So the energy is stored in the form of ATP molecules in mitochondria. Okay. So mitochondria, it is known as the energy currency of the cell. That and all we have studied in 9th standard. Okay. So the presence of oxygen, it takes place in mitochondria to give carbon dioxide, water and 38 ATP molecules. Whereas in the same process, this anaerobic respiration, it takes place in the absence of oxygen in yeast cells. Yeast is a non-green plant which undergoes the process of fermentation. Okay. So in yeast cells, it gives what? Ethyl alcohol. I will write in the chemical formula C2H5OH. Ethyl alcohol, or otherwise it is known as ethanol. And it will provide what? Ethyl alcohol, and then it will be giving carbon dioxide, okay, ethyl alcohol, carbon dioxide, and the amount of energy released, it is 2 ATP molecules. So the amount of energy released, it is very, very less in the case of absence of oxygen. In the human beings, simple example, human beings, they respire aerobically only by using oxygen. But in certain cases, if we are doing any heavy exercise, physical exercise and all, at that time, the cells will not get sufficient amount of oxygen. So what will happen? Then the cells will start to breathe anaerobically. So at that time, the muscle cells, so in human beings, the muscle cells will start to breathe anaerobically without using oxygen. Then what will happen to that particular person who has undergoing the physical exercise or athletics and all, then it will start to respire without using oxygen, the muscle cells, and instead of producing carbon dioxide, water and 38 ATP molecules, it will produce lactic acid because partially only it has been broken down. So it will produce lactic acid plus 2 ATP molecules. So 2 ATP molecules. Okay. So in the absence of oxygen in muscle cells, the lactic acid is produced with 2 ATP molecules. Here also the amount of energy produced is very, very less. So here this is very, very important part. It is a 3-mark question for board exam. Okay. This equation you have to know very well. Understood? So now I am moving on to how the respiration process it takes place in plants. Well, here also we will be studying about how the respiration takes place in plants and how respiration takes place in animals. So here first we will move on to respiration in plants. That is also only just the important thing or important points only I will be telling regarding that. Here in the case of plants, it will be respiring each part separately. But we cannot respire separately, isn't it? Because the oxygen, it is traveling to each and every part of the cells and then it is a long process, a continuous process in the case of human beings. But whereas in the case of plants, the roots respire separately, the stem respire separately and the leaves respire separately. And the main process which is involved in respiration in plants, it is diffusion process. In respiration in plants, it is diffusion process. So, diffusion is the main process which helps for respiration in plants. So, diffusion, it is applicable only for plants. It is not applicable for high multicellular organism. We can tell that the complex multicellular organism, not simple. Complex multicellular organism, this diffusion process is not sufficient. This is the NCERT book question also. I was telling about regarding the respiration in plants. The respiration in plants, it is the diffusion process. The main process which is involved in respiration in plants, it is diffusion process because they respire separately. But whereas in the case of animals, this process is not insufficient for meeting the requirements. Why? Because the volume of the human body, the volume of the human beings, it is very big. So it is not sufficient to for this process to transfer the oxygen from the nostrils to each and every part of the body. So here in this case, diffusion process is applicable only in the case of plants, but it is not applicable in the case of large multicellular organism. Why? Because this is an NCERT question also. Diffusion is insufficient to meet the requirements for the large multicellular organism. Justify the statement or give reason. Like that it may come for 2-mark question. Okay. So it is also a repeatedly asked question, so that you have to concentrate this area. Why it is insufficient for large multicellular organism. Why? Because the volume of the body of those organisms, it is very big. So it will be insufficient or it will be difficult for the process to take the oxygen to each and every part of the body. Okay. So here regarding the respiration in plants, in roots, the roots respire with the help of root hairs. And in the case of stem, 2 types of this respiratory organs are there which helps to respire. In the case of small plant, that is herbaceous plants, we can tell. In the case of herbaceous plant, stomata, with the help of stomata only, it is respiring. At the same time, in the case of hard woody trees, big trees are there, banyan trees, coconut trees and all. Hard woody trees, they respire with the help of lenticel. This term you have to remember, lenticel in hard woody trees, the respiratory organ in plants. Okay, in hard woody trees, because it may come for MCQ, lenticel. And in the case of leaves, it is normally the stomata. So this is the leaf part, this is the stem part, and this is the root part of the respiratory organ. Okay, so here in this, one more part which is important, which is repeatedly asked for examination, that is CBSE board exam, is that the land plants. The land plants, after the water get logged means it becomes stagnant. You can see that the plants, it is die. Why it is happening? Give reason type. Question, it may come either for 1 mark or sometimes for 2 marks, or in the case of case study question also it may come. Now in this particular, so in the revised syllabus, you can see that the case study questions are also available in the question paper. So this part may come for case study question also. Okay, the case study question, a paragraph will be given, and based on that the MCQs will be there. The 4 questions will be there for 4 marks. It is MCQ type. So you can write the answer easily by reading that particular passage. So here I was telling regarding that it may come for either 2 marks or case study question also it may come. That is the land plants, when they are waterlogged, it die. Why? Give reason. Okay. Why? Because when the water is stagnant, the air which is present in the soil, it will be expelled out. When large amount of water it is present there in the soil, then it expels out the oxygen which is present there inside the soil. So when oxygen is not present there, then what will happen? The plants will start to respire anaerobically. Without using oxygen, the root hairs will be respiring anaerobically. So when it starts to respire anaerobically, what it will produce? It will produce alcohol. Already I have told, it will produce alcohol, which results in the drying of the plant or killing of the plant. Okay, so that is the reason why the land plants, they die when the water is logged for few hours. Okay, so when we have to see, that is, it is very familiar also. Sometimes we might have planted the plant, and then after a few days you can see that it is dried off. Why? Because the water is stagnant and it has started, the roots have started to respire anaerobically. Due to that particular case only, that plant has got dried off. Okay, so that is only regarding respiration in plants, only diffusion regarding the respiratory organs of different parts of the plant. Only this you have to see in the case of respiration in plants. Next is respiration in animals. Respiration in animals, you will be studying about the respiratory organs of different organisms. So, in the case of amoeba, the respiratory organ is cell membrane. In the case of fish, the respiratory organ is gills. In the case of earthworm, the respiratory organ is skin. And in the case of insects, the respiratory organ is spiracles and trachea. Spiracles means they are the tiny holes which is present on the sides of the body through which the air enters. Okay, and the other one, it is the air tube. It is known as the trachea. And same way in the case of other organisms, it may include frog, then lizard, then human beings. All it comes under that. So other organism, that is the respiratory organ we use, it is the lung. But in the case of frog, you can see that 2 is there. One, it is the skin and the lung. But when it is in the water, it will respire with the help of the skin, and when it is on the land, it will respire with the help of the lungs. Okay, so these are the main respiratory organs of different organisms that you have to know. Okay, other than that, regarding the respiration in amoeba, which will be the same process will be there in the case of earthworm and also in the case of fish. That is, with the help of the gills, it will respire. The other one with the moist skin, and the amoeba in the case with the help of the cell membrane, it starts to respire. Okay, so now we are moving on to the respiration in human beings. So in that particular part, you should know the diagram perfectly. the respiratory system. Sometimes the diagram they will give. Rarely only it is asked for you to draw, but maximum time the diagram is given there in the question paper. Only thing you have to mark the parts. Sometimes those parts which has got function, that particular part also it will be asked to mark. Okay, so the diagram, you should be perfect in diagram, the respiratory system of human beings. So parts of respiratory system. First one, it is the nose, nasal passage, trachea or windpipe, then bronchi and lungs. So these are the main parts of the respiratory system: nose, nasal passage, trachea, bronchi and lungs. Okay, so the names of the parts of the respiratory system you should know by heart, because I have told already regarding that diagram will be given, you have to label the parts. So regarding the human respiratory system, only the main important part which is involved, you should know the function of the respiratory system. Along with that, you should know the function of the certain parts. One part it is regarding the bronchi. That is the bronchi, it is divided into the bronchioles, smaller parts, the bronchioles, and at the end of each bronchiole there is a pouch-like structure. So that pouch-like structure which is present at the end of each bronchioles, it is known as alveoli. So it is very important. This question comes, that is regarding the function of alveoli. So regarding the function of alveoli, you know that the function of main alveoli which is present in the respiratory system, it helps in increasing the surface area for the exchange of gas. Increasing the surface area. It increases the surface area for exchange of gas. Okay, so alveoli is the one main part which is present in the respiratory system. It is present at the end of bronchioles. The bronchi, it is again subdivided into smaller branches, and that smaller branches it is known as the bronchioles. And at the end of each bronchiole there is a pouch-like structure, and it is also known as the air sac. So that name of that air sac, it is alveoli, and the main function of the alveoli, it increases the surface area for the exchange of gases. So among the respiratory system of human beings, this part you should know very well regarding the function of alveoli. Okay, then another one more part where you have to concentrate in the parts of the respiratory system, it is that the rings of cartilage which is present or surrounding the trachea, even though the air is not present inside the trachea or the windpipe, it is not collapsing. Why? So it is a 1-mark question or a 2-mark question. It is give reason type. So why the trachea is not collapsing or the windpipe is not collapsing? Because it is surrounded by rings of small soft bones known as cartilage. That is why it is not collapsing even though the air is not present. So that area also you have to concentrate that in the case of respiratory system. So these are the two main frequently asked questions in the respiratory part. Other than that, you should know the content fully. Along with that, the important areas which you have to concentrate, only that I am discussing now. So you should know regarding the function of alveoli and why the windpipe or the trachea is not collapsing even though the air is not present inside it. Okay, next is the average breathing rate. That is all the areas where you have to concentrate. The normal breathing rate of a person, it is 15 to 18 times per minute. 15 to 18 times per minute. So this is the normal breathing rate of a person. If a person has done physical exercise, then the breathing rate may increase. It may reach up to 25. Okay. So the breathing rate, normal breathing rate, it is 15 to 18 times per minute. Other than that, another one more part already we have told that regarding the hemoglobin level. What is the main function of hemoglobin? That is, it binds with oxygen. It is present in the red blood cells, and it is a pigment which helps to carry the oxygen to each and every part of our body. So how much amount of hemoglobin should be present there in each and every person? So it is nearly 10 to 12 gram per deciliter of blood. Okay. So the hemoglobin range, it should be 10 to 12 grams per deciliter of blood. So that should be there. Otherwise, it may result in the deficiency of the hemoglobin. It result in that person's oxygen carrying capacity will be reduced, and it may result in weakness, tiredness, anemia, and all. It may arise to that particular person. Another one more topic which you have to concentrate is regarding the carbon monoxide poison. For example, the coal and all, when it is being burned without the sufficient supply of oxygen, then instead of releasing carbon dioxide, it will release the poisonous gas known as carbon monoxide. And if it is taking place in a closed room, then the person, if it is lying down there, then it may result in the inhalation of that poisonous gas, which may result in the unconsciousness of that person, or it may result in the death of that particular person. So these are the areas you have to cover and you have to concentrate for the board exam. So once again, I'll just go through the main part which we have discussed in this particular video regarding the respiratory system. The respiratory system, we told that why respiration is told as just the opposite of photosynthesis. Then regarding the types of respiration, aerobic and anaerobic respiration, the chemical equation is very, very important, frequently asked question it is. Okay, regarding the products of both aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Then we have discussed about the respiration in plants, the main respiratory organs, because each part respires separately. What are the respiratory organs in plants? In the case of that, one of the most important part which you have to recall or remember it is regarding the lenticell. It is a respiratory organ which is present in the hard woody trees. Then we have discussed about the respiration in human beings, and in that the main parts of the respiratory system, along with that the function of the alveoli, and then regarding the hemoglobin level, then breathing rate of a person, and regarding the carbon monoxide poisoning. So all these topics which I have covered here, you have to go through thoroughly. It will be helpful for you to score 100 plus marks in this particular topic, the respiratory system. In this respiratory system, I have covered all the important areas which will be asked for board exam. So I hope all have understood this particular topic, and do go through all the areas which I have covered today in this video. The parts of the respiratory system, the important functions of alveoli, the breathing rate, hemoglobin rate, all these important areas whichever I have covered, just go through. It will be helpful for you to get good marks for the board exam. At the same time, the first life process, nutrition, it is already covered. I have put the video in my channel and the link is given in the description box. So, I hope all have understood this topic. Thank you.